Good, okay? Some more positive.
We like positivity.
Yay! The Cardinals blew out the Rams on Sunday. Not yay for the Rams, but good for the Cardinals. Kyler Murray went 5 for 5 on throws 20 or more yards downfield on Sunday, including 3 for 3 with 2 touchdowns to Marvin Harrison Jr. That's a far cry from Murray's deep passing last year. He completed just 9 of 28 attempts for 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions last season. Here's Harrison Jr. on their performance Sunday.
Not gonna lie to you, I think I saw Kyler's stat line. He has 4 incompletions, all were to me. So I'm not very happy about that. We definitely gotta get that fixed. His skill set and his ability, he can do everything on the football field. Obviously, from in the pocket, extended the play. I think I do a good job of getting myself open when the play breaks down. Obviously, that's one of his best abilities. And obviously, in the pocket, having everything on time. But I'm a pretty good route runner, get open on time and on schedule, and we kind of just do our thing from there.
Marvin, you're not just pretty good. Like, you're really good. You're great. Hawk, we saw the potential of this duo on Sunday. What did you see from the rookie receiver?
Yeah, it's exactly what you said. He is a special player. And when he was coming out in the draft, everybody talked about Marvin Harrison Jr. being number 1. It's because he was coming in because he already seen like a 4-year NFL vet.
Yeah.
Look at these 3 plays. These are the 3 offensive plays back to back to back for the Cardinals. You got a touchdown where he drags the feet. Incredible hand-eye coordination. Obviously, the off-script play where he jumps from the 5 and looks like Michael Jordan. Those are things you can't teach. And then there was a back shoulder fade, the very next play where he's just going up with incredible ball skills. Like, this is why Marvin Harrison Jr. was a cut above the rest of other wide receivers in this draft who were also really good because he comes in ready-baked offense and he has a lot of Larry Fitzgerald to him.
I thought Kyler's tape was top 5 player in the league on Sunday. I've said that a couple times since Sunday. I was that impressed. One, Kyler's always struggled for me with like trying to get through progressions, 1 to 2 to 3, and not running around. And I thought some of the stuff that he did in the pocket of allowing the defense to flow and get to 1, get to 2, to get to 3, and check a ball down, I thought he was masterful in the play action game, something that, again, has been peaks and valleys in his career, the consistency of it. And then I'd say the third thing was he was really good at what throw was needed for what route. Like sometimes it was a touch throw over backers. Sometimes it was a drilled throw underneath. Sometimes it was stuff on the move where he had to make sure that there was a little bit more space to throw a football and it was kind of firm. I think like watching that growth, that's the thing I've always wanted for Kyler is like show us growth. There's instead of the roller coaster, essentially, I think there's a lot of growth right now in his game in comparison to what we saw in his first couple years.
Yeah. So I find this, this is the type of clip, by the way, that I've been trying to find for the Arizona Cardinals. I posted a video, I believe it was yesterday, and saying like, man, there's just no Cardinals content out there, and I'm trying to talk about Kyler Murray and what they're doing. And how much of a turnaround this is like looking like for them, and I couldn't find much, and so I was so relieved to come across this clip because I love how Orlovsky broke it down. He kind of took a few words right out of what I was going to say, where what I'm seeing with Kyler doing right now is making the throw that's needed in the moment, or what the defense is giving you, or what the play call in general is giving you. We can get lost in some of like those magnificent plays because it was so some of those plays that I saw were some of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen, in watching football. It was just absolutely remarkable. You're like, if you're playing like that, I mean, like, how are you not Patrick Mahomes right now, right? How are you not the GOAT? Like, what is going on here? It was pretty remarkable. But then seeing him do those little things, check the ball down, throwing like a nice direct like 7-8 yard pass, right? Like just doing those little things because they're little, they get overlooked. And I think a common fan, because I could see this watching games with people who maybe don't know football as well or super well, not to act like I'm a super expert on this, but I see this all the time. I experience this with a few family members, to be honest, where like you see some of those 7-8 yard passes and they get restless. The people that I'm watching with, they're like, oh, what is that? Why aren't they going down the field? Like, what are we doing here? And they get frustrated. And I know that's a common experience for a lot of fans because they love those big plays. And it's like, there's this feeling that you should be able to rip off a 30-40 yard gain that, chunk play like every single drive. And if you don't do it, then it's a failure. When in reality, like many of these games, if you put up like 28 points, which is 4 touchdowns, is like great. And that's like, okay, that's technically like 1 touchdown a quarter. And if you do that, like you will win majority of games outside of your defense being a mess. So it's just like, this idea that it's always got to be the big play, the big moment, the big touchdown. It's just not the reality of football. And I think a lot of these younger quarterbacks, and Kyler Murray is pretty much kind of out of that category a little bit now. Like it's so hard because since he's had some injury issues and his career hasn't panned out exactly as he even personally hoped. I feel like he's become like a forgotten quarterback, especially being in Arizona, and like kind of highlighted at the beginning of this clip. It's just unfortunately not a super popular a team that the media likes to talk about a lot or give a whole lot of attention, which I think is unfortunate because I think Kyler Murray really does have the potential to be a really special player, which we see, and it's all about those levels of consistency and raising the floor. Not so much about raising the ceiling, it's raising the floor. His ceiling is through the roof, right? Like he can do all the things that we praise the Patrick Mahomeses of the world and even Josh Allen's of the world. They're a little bit different than Josh Allen because Josh Allen is going to be a little bit more bully physical when he's using his legs, and Kyler is going to be a little bit more slippery and quick and athletic, but just really special stuff. This is, and I've said this a lot over the months about just players in general and how we talk about what makes a player truly elite and how we can kind of define different ways how someone can get to elite. But the most important part is consistency, right? Are you consistently great? If you're consistently great, that's probably going to make you elite. Because if you're just great, but you're inconsistently great, depending on how inconsistent you are, you may just be great. Or if you're really inconsistent, then you might just be good because you're just not dependable enough, right? We've had plenty of quarterbacks over the years who can even play elite at times, but it's just too inconsistent that you're just like, well, I can't say you're elite because yeah, you've done some amazing things, but it's just not frequently enough. It's not regular enough. Yeah, you've showed a ceiling. That's awesome. But your floor just gets too low, or you just revert back to just okay too frequently, where it's just like it's not dependable. So I struggle saying that you are great or elite or whatever it is. Sometimes we get lost in those words, and I usually use good, great, and elite. So I contribute to that. But that's where Kyler is interesting to me because he's had inconsistencies. But I'm not going to necessarily blame him, right? I'm not trying to say that Kyler Murray is just an inconsistent player. That's not what I'm saying. He kind of, for the most part, did hit the ground running, and he was, I forget what year it was. I mean, they were like 8-0 or 9-0 or 10-0 or like 9-1, whatever it is. And it was like they were first place, like everything was flying so high. He really took the NFL by storm at that moment, and it was really exciting. Then I think he got injured. I remember, again, I forget what year it was, but like I remember him like slamming his helmet on the ground, and understandably so. He was obviously frustrated and angry, and like that was peak Kyler. And then like there was just like never any bounce back from that. I'm not sure if it was that season or the following season when he went to the playoffs and then looked bad, right? Like it wasn't a good playoff performance at all. And then people were trying to say, oh, he's playing scared, he's afraid to get hurt, he wants to get paid, whatever it may be. And then of course, the offseason before he got paid, it was like, oh, he doesn't study, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. They had the whole issue with Cliff Kingsbury. The Cardinals were decimated with injuries. And then it was like, all right, new coach, new regime, he's getting paid, let's go. And then he gets injured, right? So his story has been less than ideal. And so I don't really know if we truly know the real potential of Kyler Murray because we've never been able to like really see him where he was firing on all cylinders. Everything was good. The team was healthy. Coach quarterback relationship was healthy, right? Like everything was doing okay, was good. And he stays healthy for an extended period of time, right? For the whole season. We're yet to like really see that. His career, for the most part, has been held together with like duct tape, unfortunately. And some of it is just luck, without a doubt. Some of it is the Cardinals organization, ownership, and some issues with management, which can't be disputed. They even like voted them. I think the players even voted the Cardinals to be like kind of like bottom tier ownership and facilities and whatnot. I'm not sure if that's changed now over the months, but it was definitely I remember when that came out, and it makes sense. And so it's hard to thrive in that environment. And but I think hopefully where things have changed, where Kyler Murray is healthy, you're now having a full year with your second year head coach running this, running the team. And I think we got glimpses last season of what the Cardinals could be, but it was hard again to see the sustainability of it all and to see like what really is the vision here. And I think we're getting this vision here now. And it was very smart. They went out and got Marvin Harrison Jr., right? They went out and got him a big top level weapon. And when you give a really exciting, dynamic, versatile quarterback a true weapon, like that's so important. It's what Patrick Mahomes had in KC when he first got there, right? With Travis Kelce as well as Tyreek Hill. Like that matters for your development. And Kyler Murray is not to say that he hasn't had weapons necessarily, but like this is now a great young weapon where they should be able to be in their primes like together, right? They should be able, like their peak powers should be like coming into it together, because especially wide receivers really for the most part these days come in ready made. There's not too much development that they need to do, unlike say like a quarterback or maybe a couple other positions. Not to say that Marvin Harrison Jr. is already the best will ever be, but it just seems like they can clearly kind of hit the ground running, especially now that Kyler Murray is a mature quarterback. He's not a first or second year quarterback. He's not figuring out how to play quarterback. It's just messy when you have different levels of skill players working with each other, because it's just hard to kind of connect it and have it all come together. Sometimes you have a player entering their prime while they're trying to be forced to work with another player who's done his prime. He's out, he's past it, or he's you have a reverse where you have a player who is really young and a rookie, right? Like a first year, second year quarterback, and you have a prime amazing player, and like, yeah, it's beneficial and it's helpful, but you can't really get it all together because it's just not locked and loaded. I think this has the potential to have that impact, not unlike what CeeDee Lamb did for Dak Prescott in a lot of ways. And the truth is, I think Kyler Murray has the potential to be a better quarterback as long as he can stay healthy than Dak Prescott. And I want to be able to see Kyler Murray have some of these big moments more consistently. I want to see him in the playoffs, where we're yet to really see him have these big playoff moments, which I believe I talked about in my last video. And it's just like we're being robbed some of these moments because he is such an exciting player and can be such a big time player. And I'm just hopeful we'll be able to see that. I don't know if it'll be this season or if it'll be next season. To me, it's just always really, really hard to predict. What I find interesting is, and this will be my last main point, a lot of people are high on a lot of these other teams that kind of, I don't want to say came out of nowhere, but we're not, right? It's not the Patrick Mahomes of the world, the Josh Allens of the world, the Lamar Jacksons, where it's like, that, okay, for the most part, no matter how amazing they're going to be, they're going to be legit contenders. They're going to be a tough out. They're going to be tough to not make the playoffs, whatever it may be. And then we have a bunch of these other teams that kind of caught people by surprise, or they felt that they would be a good team, but like not the levels that they are achieving, like the Vikings, like the Saints, I'm trying to think of another good team. Those are, really the Saints and the Vikings are probably the Buccaneers, maybe to a degree. And it's interesting to me, and those teams are getting a ton of attention, a ton of media attention, and even now people adding them to the list, right? I saw Stephen A. Smith has the Buccaneers now top 5 in the NFL. Which I personally disagree with, but he has that there. Colin Cowherd has the Buccaneers, the Seahawks, that's another team. The Seahawks in there, as well as the Saints and the Vikings. He has them in his herd hierarchy, which I posted a video discussing as well. And it's interesting to me that the Cardinals balled out against what most people believe is also a top 10, even a top 5 team in the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, they lost, but it was a close game. The Cardinals were clearly like not outclassed. They showed that they clearly belonged, and then they demolished the Rams. And again, the Rams are absolutely hurting. There's no question about that. But they did demolish them, and yet no one's saying, "Hey, where are the Cardinals? What can the Cardinals do?" The Cardinals, they're a top. Oh, well, whatever, we're still going to count that towards them being really good. And it's just interesting. And same thing with the Vikings. Like, granted, the Vikings beat the 49ers, and granted the Saints beat the Cowboys, right? So like those are better teams than what the Cardinals have had the opportunity to be. If the Rams were full strength and they beat them like this, then maybe more people would be on the Arizona Cardinals train, but I just think the fact that they competed with the Buffalo Bills, even though they didn't get that win, I still think that that's good enough to say, like, hey, maybe they, like, you know, at least question, at least have the conversation about it. Like, maybe they actually are a top team. Again, I'm not saying they are or they aren't. I am definitely a wait and see type of person. But it is interesting that we're not really having that question, that conversation just yet about it. But we're having that conversation about some of these other teams. And I find that interesting, especially with quarterbacks who historically did not have the opportunity or just didn't straight up show the levels of high, like the peak levels that Kyler Murray has shown. Like, we've already seen, if you're talking about like a Derek Carr or a Sam Darnold, or even a Baker Mayfield, like, we've seen Kyler Murray reach higher levels, be more dynamic, be more transcendent, really take over the league that we've never seen any of those other players do. You could technically kind of make the argument for Derek Carr when he was kind of an MVP candidate until he got hurt, but I would still say that I think Kyler Murray probably had a more explosive run than even Derek Carr. So it's just interesting that we're not using that as a frame of reference to be like, hey, this is maybe not fool's gold. This is maybe like a legitimate team starting to hit their stride. So it's going to be interesting to see. Who do they have to beat for people to start to say, hey, this is a real team with a real coach, with a real quarterback, with some real weapons. Let's go. I'm curious to see, like, when that happens, if it happens, quite honestly. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think the Arizona Cardinals are like a legit top team in the NFL right now? Or do you think, no, it's too soon to tell? Or no, do you think it's kind of fool's gold, right? It was a tough game against the Bills, but they did lose. And that, hey, they beat the Rams, and the Rams are just, again, falling apart. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.